Welcome back, my friends. I'm so glad you're here on the Hippie Moms podcast. And we have such a beautiful, delightful, loving soul with us today, Jamie Lovelynn. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
I'm so happy you're here too. Jamie and I met years ago and we just really connected. It was an online event. And we got paired into a group, I remember, and I was like, I really like this girl. And we've stayed in connection, and you came into Albuquerque, where I live. You were doing a workshop or for a corporation.
Yes.
And we connected, and I'm like, you know what, we need to bring Jamie on to the Hippie Moms podcast and to share your passion and your light. And really, we're going to be talking about breath work. And we're not talking necessarily about like, you need to go to these classes and do these things. It's like the everyday life, but we're going to kind of back up a little bit. And I want to talk about kind of what we were talking about before, Jamie, is, how we lose connection with ourselves. And in a way, we lose connection with the life force and the breath. And so like, because you work with a lot of people. So what are you seeing in that disconnection? What does that look like?
Yeah, that disconnection can show up as so many different things. It can show up as anxiety. It can show up as just a yucky feeling inside, not knowing why there's no satisfaction in life. It can show up as addictions, overeating, over exercising, over scrolling, over drinking, numbing, coping strategies, and just an overall feeling just surviving in life instead of thriving.
Can't not relate to that. We all, and I think it's important to know, like, we must know what disconnection feels like in order to truly know what connection feels like. So I want to just say we've all been in that disconnected state.
Yes. I'm only speaking from experience.
Yes, because we only can.
Yeah.
And as moms, it's I believe a lot more difficult to be disconnected because you have children that are watching your disconnection and learning that. And so, but it starts when we're young, right? This kind of these belief systems start when we're young. Isn't that right?
Exactly. All it takes is someone saying, I don't like you, or I don't like what you're doing, and the little child interpreting it as, oh, it's not safe to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And the body just shuts down, even if it's just a little part of it, but it takes a different stance. From then on out, it thinks, okay, well, who do I need to be in this world? Who do I need to be safe? So all of a sudden, we're shifting from internally just living through this life force. I am me, I'm shining my light, I'm here to bring my gifts to the world, this is my creativity, this is me, to I can't be that. Okay, so who do I need to be? Now I'm going out into the world and asking the world, who do I need to be? And so what I always say is this shift of, instead of asking, what does the world want from me? Asking, what do I want to give to the world? And that's really the shift of disconnect to connection from the inside.
Oh, it's so beautiful. When you're saying this, I got this visual of just someone sitting on their phone and looking at their friends' lives or some influencer that looks like they have it all and feeling that despair, like I'm just not enough. Everyone else has these amazing lives and does all these things. And here I am sitting on my couch, so unfulfilled in my life and my relationships. And it's like, when I've been there, so me, right? And we're still moving through it. It's not like everything gets perfect one day, but it's like
Right.
it's a slow move back to our authentic self is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because
it's intentional. It doesn't just happen over time. It's not just, oh, one day when I'm 60 years old, I am going to be my true self.
right.
It's an intentional path.
Yeah. And we have to like begin walking ourselves back there.
Mm-hmm.
And having the courage to become who we're meant to be, right? Because really, like you said, we start to learn externally, how am I supposed to be? How can I move in a way that people will respond to me, in a way that makes me feel good? So we are seeking outside of ourselves for validation. So here we are where we're like, okay, I'm aware that I'm not my true self.
Mm-hmm.
What are the simple steps? What is that? So we have the intention. How does that intention move us? And you can give us many examples, but so we're moving from this disconnected place, then what does that mean? Where do we go from there?
Mhm. I believe step one is calming the nervous system because
Mhm.
oftentimes stress is the number one culprit of us not being our true self. Again, that moment, if it was young, when we were young, or when we were older, when we don't believe it's safe, you can just imagine the whole body constricting into a stressed state. Then you add on the stressors of trying to please the world, trying to figure out how to manage all these things, and not even that, but just the stress of life. It's a lot to figure out how to be human.
Really, it is.
Yeah. So we're in this sympathetic nervous system state. We're in this fight or flight. In that state, it's really hard for our true self to come through. Because you can imagine it's the old analogy. We have that in case we're being chased by a bear. It's
Yes.
it's there for a reason. But what happens in today's society is we feel like we are always being chased by a bear. And if you're being chased by a bear, the brain is not thinking, "Oh, I want to go create. I want to go play." So
Hmm.
step number 1 is just bringing awareness to this, and then taking simple steps like we'll talk about to calm the nervous system to begin to release some of the stress. And I love to break this down simply. It's not going everything's not going to shift overnight, but moment by moment and breath by breath can begin to calm the nervous system.
That just feels so good on my nervous system. And really, the message I think is so poignant that you just said is that this is not an overnight thing. And that's where we have to shift away from this instant gratification, a pill for every ill, even supplements. People think, oh, I'm going to take this. And it's no matter what, our healing is a process. Our physical, our mental, our emotional healing is a process. And all of those are tied into, right, the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And so calming the nervous system, getting into a relaxed state is what I'm hearing is then you can make the shifts. Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes. Yeah.
So what are some ways just in that element, how do we calm the nervous system? What are some things that actually we can do to implement and integrate in our life in a consistent way to help us start to create a more regulated nervous system?
Absolutely. Always love to start with one deep breath. Again, I have long sessions, there's all these things, but truly coming back to that one breath over and over. So what do I mean by that? That's taking a long deep breath in, 5-second inhale. You can even do it right now. 5 seconds in and 10 seconds out. Breathing all the way out. Slow, slow, slow. Breathing out even more air, allowing the shoulders to drop. And that's just one breath, one moment, doing that over and over. I'm feeling the stress coming back to the breath, coming back to the moment. So allowing that to be the foundation.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, you begin to rely on the breath. And that's what it's there for, as that stabilizing foundation. And that's going to engage the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's physiological shift that's then creating a mental shift. And these moments build on each other.
Mhm. Which, in a way, a long breath actually does deliver instant gratification if you
Yeah.
can sink into it and
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to it. Isn't it interesting that we have this breath, this life force with us all the time? And it's like the most simplest, most beautiful tool to access peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, so many of us, we don't know, we don't remember to take a deep breath.
Yep.
And it's like if we can just remember to take these breaths, like that's everything. Like one deep breath can change the course of your entire life, people.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I put a reminder on my phone for the middle of the day, the middle of the afternoon actually, at 2:47 because it spells out air on an old school phone. And because I know it's at a time when I'm probably forgetting to breathe. I'm
Yeah.
probably just deep in the day, and it's just that reminder to come back. But we can use this, right before we drop off the kids at school, or right before we pick them up, right before going into the grocery store, just coming back. And honestly, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
In that moment, you're coming back to your true self. And
Mm.
then from there, you're just setting the stage. Okay, from there, I'm moving forward as my truest self, as
Mhm.
my grounded, anchored me. You drop out of the frantic, heady space and into the heart, into that loving presence. I mean, basically immediately.
Which that's like who we are. That's the essence. Who we are is that deep breath, calm, peaceful essence. That's us. The heady, the stress, that's actually not us. That's why it feels so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we have to, like, that's the thing is we think we're going to use our mind to figure it out. But it never, does anyone ever figure it out? Like the inspired ideas, the most incredible aha moments and epiphanies never come when we're stressed, because when we're stressed, we're in a lower frequency and all we can create is from that frequency. So the breath is like an instant kind of like, I like to call it a zap of a higher
Yeah.
frequency.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say you can't talk yourself into loving yourself. You can't talk yourself into healing. You can't, I mean, my story is I was in talk therapy for 15 years and I was making small progress, but I didn't feel peace within my body.
Yes.
So we can feel our way into self-love. We can feel our way into true self. We can feel our way into peace.
I
And
love
the
that.
breath guides us there.
I love that so much. So I would love to hear your story, and I would love to hear where was the point? Because we want to feel relatable, right? We want people to know that we've walked the journey. We know where they are. We all struggle, no matter what it is. We all have something that pushes us into a new way of being. And so I would love for you to share, like, what is your story and how did you get into this knowing that bringing breath work to the world was one of your very many gifts?
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, my journey started when I was in high school with an eating disorder, and I really had no choice except to get help. And that started in therapy, and that was my coping mechanism. That was my numbing tool. Had no idea why it was happening or why I was in these compulsive behaviors that were detrimental and I could not stop. But again, I knew I needed to get out, so I was willing to do whatever it took. And little by little, book here, therapy here, learning this tool here, I got out of it over the course of years, really. And it wasn't until much later in my journey that I actually found breath work. I had found one breath, actually. I had found the power of breath, but I had no idea this next level of deep, transformational, trauma releasing breathwork therapy. And again, so back to what I was saying before, I was knowing peace in my head. I was feeling better. I wasn't doing the compulsive behaviors. And I started to understand that when I'm not being me, when I'm not loving myself, when I'm judging, I go to the food.
Mm-hmm.
And this is relatable. You can insert any numbing coping tool in my story. It's just different for everyone, whether it's drinking or whatever it is. And so I started to realize, okay, when I am loving, when I'm totally in loving presence, I don't have these tendencies to go numb. When I'm judging, controlling, trying to figure things out, again, because I'm scared, because I'm just trying to survive in the world and I don't fully know how, I go back to those desires. So over time, little by little, I came out of it. And then when I found breathwork much later, felt this deep sense of peace actually in my body. And that was unlike anything I had ever experienced. So I knew then, shortly after, as I implemented it, that I had to share this with the world. I was already sharing the tools that I had found, this was next level.
I mean, if anyone has ever done a breathwork session, which we have a treat for you, that's why you have to listen, keep listening because we have a little treat for you at the end. If anyone's been in, a guided breathwork session, there's no words that can explain where it can take you. And you know what, you said this when we were at coffee, Jamie, you said, the breath can bring you this experience with the divine without any plant medicine, without having to meditate for years,
Yeah.
right? It's like this. It is in a way, it's instantaneous when you sit and you move the breath, and it can be challenging.
Yeah.
It can be challenging to move it, but if you stick with it, it's like you go into this beautiful bliss and harmonic state. It's inexplainable. And the only way I've ever had those have been either through a plant medicine or through deep, deep meditation, which not a lot of people are going to be able to be like, I'm going to go do a, hour meditation. And most people aren't going to do that. So this is what I love is it's like, this is the gateway, everything that we've been talking about.
Exactly. And that was me. I was meditating. I kept meditating, thinking something would happen, but for me personally, I never got to that meditative state that actually had a physiological shift in my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, that's why breath work, it takes you there instantaneously. Meditate from there. You get to a meditative state immediately.
Yes. And we're hearing more and more about the breath because so many of us actually don't even breathe correctly normally, right?
Yeah.
What is that about? What are we doing wrong, Jamie?
Isn't it wild? We breathe every day, all day long. And again, took me a lot of years to know how to breathe in the correct or most supportive way, let's say. So that way is nose breathing. In everyday life, it is so important to breathe through the nose. And it is important for a few reasons. First of all, it filters the air. There's so much in the air right now. Filters it when we breathe through the nose. Second, it warms the air, so it's going to be better for our lungs to absorb that oxygen. Third, as it goes through the nasal passage, the body actually creates nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator, so it's going to open up the veins. It's going to allow the entire body to receive more oxygen. And not only that, nitric oxide kills viruses.
Oh, wow.
So it is so critical that we breathe through our nose. And fourth, it engages the parasympathetic nervous system when we breathe through the nose. So again, the parasympathetic nervous system, there's two branches. One is going to be the rest and digest, the calming nervous system, and the other is the sympathetic, the fight or flight, the stressed state. So making this shift of breathing all day long through the nose is going to have a huge impact physiologically, mentally, spiritually, because then you're able to just be in that state of true self in an easier way.
Yes. I mean, it's really interesting because I do notice I went on my whole nose breathing journey and realized how much I was breathing through my breath or through my mouth. And I was really like, wow. And when I began to just shut my mouth and breathe through my nose, it's a conscious, you can literally rewire how you breathe too. Because now it's like, I notice too, when my kids are like, mouth breathing or other kids, I'm like, close your mouth, breathe through your nose.
Yeah, in ancient cultures, they actually look over the babies while they sleep and will shut the mouth of the baby to get them in the habit of that.
I think that's a big reason why I know in Finland, like they leave their babies outside in the cold. And I think and I know I'm just sensing that automatically the babies, there's only one way to breathe is through the nose because they wouldn't be able to breathe because it's so cold.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I really do feel this has been known in ancient cultures. And it goes to say, there's nose strips out there. Like I've used nose strips at night when I sleep. I'm not a snorer, but I do find myself waking up with a dry mouth. And if you're waking up with a dry mouth, you're breathing through your mouth.
Yes, yes. And it's important to note that your nose is a muscle. So if it's uncomfortable now, stick with it. Let's say you try it little by little. Your nasal passage is actually going to expand and open as you breathe more through your nose. So again, this is another place where it's a practice. It's like going to the gym. You don't build big muscles overnight,
Right.
but little by little, and then perhaps you begin taping your mouth at night, which is next level. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it if it's going to stress you out or put you in a panic,
Mhm.
but it can be so supportive. I mean, I know someone who notices that when she doesn't mouth tape at night, her face is actually puffier when she wakes up in the morning.
Wow. I believe that. You just have to remember to breathe through the nose and
Yeah.
make it a thing. I mean, that could be life-changing because it, like you said, it automatically puts you in the
Yeah.
parasympathetic state.
Yeah. So then your baseline, at least then your baseline
Yeah.
is a more calm state.
Oh my
You still
goodness.
have all the other stressors, but at least you're giving yourself a chance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's so great you brought that up because there's always going to be things in life that we don't like.
Yeah.
We do like. It doesn't really matter our preferences, but it's like, can we move with grace, for ourselves,
Yeah.
for others? And in order to tap into that grace, which it's being able to find that peace within you, that state, that calm, and to find the calm, it's the breath. It always begins with the breath. So we're all searching for all the things that are going to bring us more peace, happiness. We always think, well, once I have this, then, or once this happens, then. We all know that's a trap and it never will be because now is the only time. But it's so beautiful. It's so simple that it's like, here's Jamie saying, here's the gift, moms,
Yep.
a deep breath. And it's not like, just take a deep breath. It's like, no, take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that. It's so simple and profound. And sometimes people, we kind of skim over that stuff, but this is the gold.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. The world might always be chaotic.
Yeah.
We can create calm within us. We can take our power back and say, I'm not going to let the world outside dictate my inner world. I'm going to choose to allow the grace in, to wrap my own arms around myself with love and choose to create my own sanctuary right here in my own body.
And we know when that is needed, we notice that we're not in that place when we're in judgment, comparison, stress, which is all beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. That just goes to show us back to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? It goes to say, oh, you've just made a wrong turn. Veer right back to that breath, to yourself. And instead, because I think what happens is when we do get into these states or when things happen, they're out of our control, we can just sit and spin and spin and spin and spin and nothing ever happens in the spin. And so it takes something though, doesn't it, Jamie, to be like, okay, it takes something to get the mind to remember to take a breath.
Definitely. Because when in that spinning cycle, for some reason, the mind is like, no, I don't have time. We can't do that. I can't be bothered for that. I don't know what it is, but it's just
it's so crazy. We think we're too busy to nurture ourselves, to take care of ourselves. And I know that because I've been there. I'm too busy. I've got all these things. I've got dishes and laundry and the kids and I got to feed people. And it's like so much, but it's like, we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to feed our kids. We're going to do the dishes. We're going to do all that. Are we going to do that carrying, stress, or are we going to do it maybe just a little bit lighter and through a breath, right? It's like, there's always a choice, and there's nothing wrong if you want to do the stressful way. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just more evidence that will lead you back to what you and I are talking about.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important to note too, because at least my experience and journey was I was so critical of myself that it was almost like, no, I don't even deserve that because I'm just going to stay angry at myself and I messed up. So just staying in that judgment of myself and that voice. And I mean, what I found is the only way out was love. The only way out was loving that voice and saying, okay, I understand you feel that way. I understand that you're trying to keep me safe. You're trying to, this is what kept you safe when you were a little girl.
Yeah.
But it's so, I mean, if someone is wanting to break out of that, more judgment of the judgment,
Yeah,
just adds to the chaos and adds to that feeling of discomfort and yuck inside.
yeah.
So it really starts with loving the part of you that's judging.
Mm.
Oh, wow, how interesting. Having that compassion and curiosity. How interesting, I'm judging that again. How interesting, I'm wanting myself to be further on this healing journey. How interesting that I, think I should be my true self by now, and I'm still doing these people-pleasing behaviors. Like, okay, how can I love you more? That's a question I love to ask. How can I love you more? How can I love that part of you more?
I love that, because what you're doing is you're getting that part of yourself and you're bringing her in and you're saying, it's safe to feel this way.
Yeah.
It's a human emotion and I love you, and you can just feel this way as long as you want, right? Because right when we say stop it, don't feel this way anymore, then we've already lost it.
Yeah.
And it really is like bringing those parts of us. And I feel so much when we do that, we cultivate this deep compassion for those parts of us, because those parts of us don't know that was the little child.
Yeah.
That was a little baby girl or baby boy that was told by parents that told them, by parents that told them. The cycle goes on and on. It's not your parents' fault or the parents of the parents. It's from the beginning of time. You can't, there's nothing there's no one to blame in this whole equation, is what I'm saying. And many times we blame ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we can, like you said, love that parts of us, because a lot of times we want to just shun it and say, no, that's not right, or feel guilty. It's like, no, we bring that voice in and we say, you're so safe to feel that. And I love you just there.
Yeah.
Yes, it feels so good.
And that is exactly, I would say, the next step into connection with the self and coming into the true self is love, is loving all the parts of you, the parts that are scared, the parts that judge, the parts that are angry.
And when you say that, because it's a lot of the work we've been doing, a lot of the work I've been doing is integrating those kind of fragmented parts of us that just were told a lie and believed as false belief. And then we just carry that with us. But when we do that and we consistently bring that love into those parts of us that we don't think are lovable, what I notice, and I'm curious if you do too, I notice how once I'm so compassionate for my experience, I'm so compassionate for other people.
Yeah.
Like instead of being like, oh, you're a jerk, pointing my fingers, I'm more like, I get it. I get it. It's a human condition, people.
Yeah.
We're here to break free out of it. We're really here to like kind of take this veil that's over our head and be like, oh, I'm already free. I totally thought I wasn't, but I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not that easy. We know that. And that's why what you're showing us is taking that one breath, reminding yourself to take the breath because you're pattern interrupting.
Yeah.
And then to love those voices inside the head, instead of shunning them, bringing them in, loving them and understanding why. We don't have to get too mental about it. It's just bringing it in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That it changes everything. And I've had moments where I have gone from wanting that numbing tool so desperately and even thinking there's nothing that will get me out of this state.
Mm-hmm.
And then bringing love to asking myself, what am I judging here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't do this right. I didn't do that right. I didn't do that right. Bringing love to all of that. And so quickly, my need for that numbing tool, the desire goes away. All of a sudden, there I am. Like, oh, okay. It just feels light. Okay, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah. It's you become the source of that fulfillment rather than something outside of you, which we know is so fleeting anyway. You're always going to want another drink or, whatever our addictions are, scrolling, whatever it is, that's never going to be enough. It's never going to really fulfill that. And so what I'm hearing is really is you're showing us access through the breath.
Yeah.
To fulfill the parts within us that are so needing of love. And that's really, we just all we truly want in lives. And I believe our children, and we all do as human beings, we want to be loved, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to feel safe in all of that. And so we have to see ourselves, listen to ourselves, love ourselves, and hold ourselves before we can ever do that for others. And this is what I love so much about this, Jamie, is the breath is so simple, and it's something that everyone's doing, because if you're not, then you wouldn't be here unless you're an alien. I don't know, and you don't breathe. I don't know. There has to there that's it's we all have access to that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us about, you have a free gift for us.
I do. On my website, I have a 9-minute audio to guide you through a short breathing pattern, coming back into that loving presence in your heart. And you just go to my website, pop your email in, and it will send right over to you.
Awesome. I'll make sure I have that link on the in the show notes so that they can go right there. So if you're listening to the podcast or if you're watching the YouTube, the link will be in the show notes so you can get that. And so as they do this, what do you suggest? How do we set ourselves up to receive this breath work? Like what, we're obviously not going to do it in a car, right?
I would say don't do it while driving, but
Yep.
if you are parked
Mm,
and you have a moment, pop it on.
yeah.
Ideally you be in just feel a space where you feel safe. You can close your eyes if you want or keep them open while you do, sitting or lying down. I think the most important thing is not making too many rules about that, finding that ideal time when everything is quiet or all the kids are asleep or whatever it is. It's saying I'm going to, when all the kids are asleep, it's really about making time, choosing to make it imperfect in the timing that you choose. Again, maybe it's a short little time before picking the kids up for school, or maybe it's in the morning first thing or at night before you go to bed. Don't try to make it too perfect.
Yeah.
It is nice if you can be alone in your own energy and sit or lie down and close your eyes.
Yes. Yeah. I love that you said that, because we can make all the excuses or we can create rather reasons why we can't do something. So interesting. The things that really are going to move the needle and help us pivot are the things that we don't make time for. But all the things that keep us in the we prioritize. And what I've realized, and I have a feeling you feel this too, when I began to make it a priority to breathe, to meditate, to fill my cup, whatever that means to you, everything just begins to unfold where it's the most important thing. There is nothing more important. So if you set and declare an intention, I am going to breathe. I'm going to do this I'm going to do this breath work session with Jamie on audio. I'm going to create time for myself to fill my cup. It will happen. And you're like, I love that you said doesn't have to be perfect. I meditate sometimes and my puppy's on me and my dog and my people are calling. I'm like, sometimes you have to, it is what it is. You can't, but you have to show up, and there is always time. Think about how much time I was spending, almost 6 hours on social media, Jamie, a day. Now I think I'm at literally 25 minutes. It's so great, but life just happens. This isn't interesting anymore. The scrolling isn't interesting anymore. It doesn't pull my heart anymore. What pulls my heart is stillness, is breathing. And that's how you begin to shift. And it's so organic and natural. You don't have to really do anything. Just have to set the intention and show up.
Yeah, exactly. And this is such a key point, that actually when we breathe, when we drop into this state of calmness, of feeling spacious, what happens is everything else actually flows easier and almost goes more quickly, because there's less road bumps. So even if it's making a phone call to the phone company, right?
Yeah.
Pause, take that deep breath. I promise you that call will go so much more smooth. The energy that you become a magnet, you create your reality, and the world around you becomes more calm and more peaceful and easier too as you do.
Yes. Yeah, it's like instant harmonization of the cells
Yes.
of the brain.
Yes, exactly.
Instant harmony, people. And we're like, no, I don't have time.
I don't want harmony today.
Yeah. No, no harmony for me, please. I love discord and chaos. But really subconsciously, that is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
because we get addicted to the chaos. We get addicted to the drama. We get attached to certain parts of our aspects of ourselves. Even sickness becomes part of our identity. And we don't know it because our subconscious hides it from us. But here's the thing, the breath builds awareness. The breath gives us direct access into the truth so we can see it and be like, oh, but if we're always spinning, we're never going to see the truth. That's why the breath is the ultimate gateway to peace. It really is. It's the only gateway. And it's something that is right here, right now, always.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You might find often people don't get sick as much.
Yeah. It like literally tunes the whole body. I like to think like our bodies are kind of like an out of tune guitar or piano, and they're still working, right? They still create, but it just is out of tune. And so, and as we harmonize, as we breathe, as we do our breathwork sessions, as maybe we meditate or we create, we play, we feel some joy, we're in nature, we're eating real foods, like these things all harmonize the body. Yet stress, if we're doing these things and stress is like, we're not going to get what it is. So it really is what I feel that this is so beautiful for so many moms is that this right here, this 9-minute free breathwork session with Jamie can literally be your gateway into whatever it is you want. Just instill the breath. It's 9 minutes. I mean, if you can't find 9 minutes a day, what did Buddha say? If you can't meditate for 10 minutes a day, then you need to meditate for an hour or something like that. Because obviously, if you can't do that, then there's a much bigger thing that's going on here. And a lot of times we distract because we don't want to sit. We're almost scared to connect with ourselves, yet it's the most beautiful thing in the whole wide world. It's such a paradox.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I love all that. And I think sometimes what happens, I'm not a mom yet, but I've worked with a lot of moms, is it's easy to get lost in being a mom and lose who you really are. And so it can be normal to not even, it can be scary to think, well, I don't know who I am.
Yes.
And whether it's conscious or subconscious, it can be easier to just be lost in the hustle. And even though it's not comfortable, sitting can feel uncomfortable. And so I just want to bring that to light, that if this feels scary, then that's okay. That's normal. And again, it doesn't have to happen overnight, but there is a beautiful thing that can come from it. From that harmony is that spark, that joy, that, maybe I do love this thing.
Yes.
This is what makes me feel alive. And now maybe I can allocate, not just I'll do the 9 minutes, but maybe after time, okay, I get to make time for myself to do this thing that I love, that lights me up, that ultimately then makes my family get something from it too when I am lit up.
Yes. Oh, the ripple effect is unbelievable. And so much we want, and I say this a lot, we want to fix and try to control outside of us. It never works. We can all track our lives. We can all look back and know that every time we try to do that, it never works. The only power we have is our own essence, our own energy, and harmonizing that. And that's what truly ripples into our families. And so we can Stop trying to fix your husband. Stop trying to fix your kids or your partner or whoever it is in a relationship. You're never going to fix them because innately it can't work because you are the creator and the experiencer of your life. So you can only go within. And when you breathe and when you do this consistently, it will harmonize that energy field, and then it will ripple and it will automatically harmonize your family. It's unbelievable. I'm living proof. of it. We used to live in so much tension. You guys, I could cut the tension in my house with a knife. We were all stressed out. Everyone's stressed. I mean, we had major issues with the kids. I can go on and on about that. It was so hard. And that was when I was like, you get to the point where you realize you can no longer fix anyone or anything. You get to that point eventually. Maybe you're not there yet. It's okay. But we will get to that point. And the only next step is coming inside. And what are the things we can do? Breathing, right? And I love the breath work because especially a lot of people say, just meditate, it takes something to meditate. But if you can breathe and then go into a meditation, oh my gosh, it's like a cut through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful, Jane. Thank you so much for sharing your like even your energy. You're just such a beautiful, like calming, angelic energy, really.
Thank you for having me here today. Such a
So
gift.
Oh, you're such a gift, Jamie. Thank you so much for sharing your breath work and you do, do you do breath work sessions? Do you do private breath work sessions? Like besides the 9 minute, what are some things that you also bring to help people explore this part of them?
Yes, I do online breathwork sessions. I do one-on-one sessions in person, and I also have a deep self-love course that's virtual that includes combining the breath with tools. So we go really deep in that. Yeah, I combine breath work and everyday tools to really discover deep self-love.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. Okay. So I will make sure that everyone has access to your link for the free gift, and then they can go to the website and explore our course. But I also, Jamie is an incredible photographer. I mean, amazing. It's like oceans and beaches and the most beautiful artwork. So we didn't talk about, but I wanted to share that because you really do have such a gift. And it's like you have one, if you're watching one right behind you, but I mean, it's so incredible. So that's what's beautiful. Like when we open this part of ourselves, we get to move into that creative place. That's where we're meant to play.
Exactly. That is exactly it. I didn't think I was creative at all. And then it emerged through me. And now that's just another it's a visual piece of shifting into that calm state.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And I just want to reiterate, when we clear the clutter and of our conduit, because we're a conduit of creativity. And when we clear all the false beliefs and we clear these things that are no longer serve us and we get into our breath and we get into the moment, we get to be expressed. We get to be moved through to create. We don't have to do anything. You know what to do. And so it's like being led by the heart. We get out of the spin of the mind, come to the breath, and we get to be used. We get to be used by love in moments. And that is the most powerful, beautiful thing because we all are looking for these big aha, grandiose moments. And it's not, it's all the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I say make moments magical, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. Yeah.
We're all on board with you, Jamie.
So happy to be here.
Yay, me too. All right. Well, I can't wait. Jamie's going on an epic adventure to Australia. So we'll have you again when you get back. And maybe next time we can do like a live breath work thing together.
Yeah.
I would.
Yes.
Yes. Yay. I'll do it together. We can bring our energies together. But in the meantime, my friends, make sure you go and get a 9 minute meditation or 9 minute breathwork session with Jamie and just explore from there. Be open. And Jamie, thank you for being here and we will see you so soon.
Okay. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye everyone. We'll catch you on the next Hippie Moms podcast.